Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining me on Creative Candy for You. This is Marina, and today I am happy to be sharing with you some stamps from one of my favorite stamp stores, the Greeting Farm. My tutorial today will focus on skin combinations, and I will be sharing with you some of my favorites. I will also have a second video with my favorite hair combination, so you don't want to miss that. I just didn't want to make this video too long. All the information on colors that I will be using today, you can find in the description below. And before I get started, I do want to share with you that I am using Express It paper for my coloring today, and it is my go-to paper for most of my Copic coloring. So the first tone that I'm skin combination or skin tone that I'm going to be using today is one of my favorites and my most go-to color, and I'm going to give you just a quick view of them. I don't know if they're in focus or not, but it is the E000, E00, E11, E04, and E21. And again, I will be sharing this information in the description below. So my first color to start off with is my E000, and the E000 is used to cover the entire area. It is just a quick base coat that I use to start off my layering of colors. So I do coat the entire skin in this first layer. I do like to work in sections. I will be working on all of them at this time, but I do prefer to work in sections, meaning that I will start with the face first and then finish the entire face and then move on to the other parts of her body showing the skin. In this case, I'm going to do it all at once, and the reason I prefer to do it separately is because I do like for my colors to remain a little wet while I'm working with them. This isn't a big image, so I can go ahead and do all of it at one time. Now that I've set my first layer here, being the E000, I'm going to go to my darkest color of this combination, which is the E04. And I'm going to add a little dark area, a little shadow in areas that are behind her hair, under her hair, on the side of her face, just adding a little bit of color because we have these shadows on our faces. The light does not hit in every area, so we're going to be adding this darker shade around parts of her body, under the sleeve, on the bottom part of her arm, under her skirt, if you can see that. And what I'm trying to do is make sure that I don't cover the image so that you can see what I'm coloring. Okay, so once I've laid down that E04, I'm going to bring in the next color, which is the E11. And the E11 is going to be used to pull some of that color and start to create that depth in this image and the shadow on her face. Okay, so we're going to pull that color towards the middle of her face, just a little bit. And one of the keys for me, and what I like to do with my images, is I like to layer the colors, meaning that I give my skin 2 coats, and I'll show you what that means. So this is my first coat of each one of these colors. And again, this is the E04, the darkest color that we added, and then now we're using the E11 to pull some of that color. Okay. Now the next color that we'll be using is the E21. And the E21 will be doing the same thing as the E11. It'll be going over the E11 now, and we're pulling that color towards the middle of her face, towards the center of her face, which is the highlighted area. And just slightly pulling towards the middle. Okay. A little on the ears, because I always forget the ears. Little on the under the neck, on the arms, and on her legs as well. Okay, the next color up is the E00, and each color that we lay on is helping us get closer to that highlight in the middle of our face. So we're just going to be pulling again towards the center of the face and helping those colors blend towards the middle of the face. Smoothing the colors out just a little bit. On this first layer of color that I am applying, I do spend a little more time on placing my marker on each color as I drag the color out towards the middle. And what I mean is I do leave the marker on there just a little bit longer. You'll see on my next layer of color that I just brush lightly over it. I don't leave my color on there too long. So this next color, which is the final color, the first one that we started with, the base layer, is the E000, and we're going to use that to finish off the face as we have pulled all the colors towards the middle of the face, and this one is just the finishing touch of the skin, first layer. Okay. Now, in my preference, as I stated before, I do like that my skin colors, I do like that to add a second layer, meaning I start all over again, and I will start with the E04, my darkest color, and I will go back and do the same thing. This time, sometimes my lines get maybe a little thinner when it comes to the darker colors. Okay, I go back and I add some of that color, and that's because I love the contrast. This creates a great contrast for the highlight and the shadows in her skin. The next color again is the E11. Again, we're going to pull, but this time I'm actually going to pull just lightly, meaning I'm not leaving the marker on there very long, and pulling towards the center of her face. So I'm trying to do this quickly so that I'm not leaving the marker on there too long. Okay, the next color is the E21. Again, we're going to pull that color towards the center of the face. Just very lightly and quickly, as I don't want to, this time I don't want to saturate my paper. I just want to lay another color on top, another layer. Next color is the E00. Again, we're pulling quickly towards the middle of her face. Pulling those colors, side of her face, just quickly, not leaving the marker on there too long. And then last color for this combination is the E000. Once again, we go over the entire light area, not all of the colors that we laid down, but the light area. And that is the first color combination. Okay, the colors are still wet right now, so as they dry up, they do become a little less dark. And I know once we start learning these, applying the color on the face, and we start with that E04, it scares a lot of people because it is a really dark color. But I promise, as you start blending with the other colors and as you start pulling the color, it'll make more sense. You're actually adding, you know, those wonderful tones in that we all have in our skin, and it's not going to be just a flat one color skin. So I'm going to move on to the next one, and the next one is going to be a darker skin. It's actually going to be the darkest skin in my combinations. And this little guy, I'm going to pick out his skin color so I can show you. He is going to have E31, E33, E13, E15, 18, and E35. So these are the colors that we will be using for this little guy. Now, the first color combination that we used had 5 colors. This one has 6 colors, and the reason for that is because I find that using for the richer skin color, you do want to try to blend it out more, and therefore it takes a little bit, one more color. But this is going to be my darkest because we are going to do 2 of the darker, richer skin tones, and this is going to be the darkest of both of them. They're very similar. They have one marker difference, but we will be doing the darker skin first. Now, different from my first image, which is I went ahead and I added the lightest color on the entire image first. I am not going to be doing that this time around. I'm actually going to just go ahead and jump into the dark colors, and I'm going to start with the E15. And the E15 is going to be, it's not going to be my darkest color in this combination, but this is the color that is easiest to start with and then build from here. So we're going to do E15, and we're going to do the same thing that we did with the other one, where we're going to create a darker shade, a darker line all around the hairline and the side of the face, a little bit, the ears a little bit, and then we're going to create a darker area around his shirt and under his chin, under his t-shirt, and the part of the arm that is behind his body. So this area right here. And that's the very first color. Now you're going to notice the next color I'm about to use, E35, is very similar to the E15. It's just a different tone. I believe it's a little warmer brown. This is more of a reddish brown, and this is maybe a little warmer brown. So you're not going to see much of a difference, but it helps these combination blend better. So I am using the E35, and I'm going to pull the color towards the middle of his face, just adding, I am going right over the E15. It just helps me build, as I said, more color. And and just pulling it a little further out than the original color. Okay. The next color we're going to use, we're going to go back to the lighter shade from the E15. We're going to pick up the E13, and we're going to pull the E35 out with the E13. So again, and I am going over all of the colors because, as I said, this is a rich color and a darker tone, and it does take a lot more blending. And I've shared this in my videos, my other videos that I have just started sharing on the YouTube, is that I like to color, my preference is to color light to dark. In this case, we're going dark to light, just because, like I said, for this color it works best. But working light to dark helps you have a little more control of your colors and your application. I'll say it over and over again. It's so much easier to apply more than to remove once you've already started applying the color. So this next color that I'm applying is the E33, and we're going over all those colors and pulling it towards the middle of the face. Again, every situation, it's the same thing. We're just, with this color, we are going over all those colors and helping them blend together. Okay. I am going to pull this over his eyelids just a little bit further in. And then the next color, which is the lightest color of all 6, is the E31. Now, we haven't used the darkest color yet, so this is from the 5 that we've used. This is the lightest color, and this is the E31. Go over his ears. We're going to pull that color towards the middle of his face, making sure that we help those colors blend together. And again, this, I just went over his eye, so not a problem. We have a little white pen. We can go over his eye right there and bring it back to white. So no worries on there. Got a little carried away. Okay, so that's the first layer of color. Some of those colors are still trying to dry off, and you can see there's still a combination in there that's still trying to blend one with the other. Not a problem, because that's why I do the 2 layers. So with my next layer, this time I am going to add the darkest color of my set, and this is the E18. We did not use this color on the first layer. We're going to use it this time around because I do want to darken this and make it a richer color. And I'm going to add this on the edge where we want our darkest shadows, which is around the hairline, and then around the side of his face. Okay. A little on the ears. Under the chin. Okay. Under the sleeves and the arm where it's curving to the back of his body. Okay. Now we're going to start off with the colors that we used on the first layer, which is, the first one is the E15. And we're going to pull that E18 Okay. Then I have the next color is the E35. We're going to use that color and pull the E15. This time we're not going too much over all the rest of the colors, just a light stroke. We're not worrying about blending all of them or saturating the paper because again we've already created one layer. And if you, right here, I'm going to fuzzy cut so I'm not worried that it went off my paper there. Okay. Next color I'm going to use is the E33, and again same thing that we did before. We're just pulling the color, but this time we're not leaving the marker on there so long. We're just pulling, making lighter strokes towards the center of the face. Because the idea this time was to make this color a little darker. Okay. Ultimately, I wanted this skin tone to be a little darker, and that's why the second time around we added the E18 and gave it the darkest shadow. All right, so my last color is the E31, pulling towards the center of the face. And covering this entire middle part of his face. Covering and closing off all the different areas of his skin. And this and the ears with the E31. Okay, and you can see the saturation of color on the back of my paper. And I do let that just dry just a little bit because I do want to create one more layer on there with the E31, and just to make sure that they're blending out well and making this area just a little darker. Okay. Okay, so the next skin, okay, I'm going to bring her back just so that you can see, just like this one, you can still see the colors on there are still a little wet and they're still trying to dry off and blend together. We can go back and see the first one that we did, how it is now dry and the colors have blended nicely together, creating a highlight area and also the shadows in the right areas. Okay. The next image we're going to do is going to be this little gal, and I am going to use one of my other favorite skin tones to use when working with lighter colors. I am going to be using the first set of colors that we used, but I'm going to be substituting the E4. We're going to remove the E4 and we're going to add a BV20. Don't let that scare you. It's called Dull Lavender. It's a purple, kind of purple gray, and it just helps with the adding the contrast and the shading of the skin as well. So I'm going to show you that combination on this cutie and then also on the next stamp, because I am going to be using these to show you other skin, other hair colors as well. So I'm going to get started just like I did with the first image. I'm going to add the E000. I'm going to add the E000 on the entire image. And she sure has a lot of skin will be coloring. Although she is a small image, she does have a lot because she is wearing her bathing suit or underwear. And therefore she has a lot of skin exposed here. And we will be making sure we add all the colors to the entire image. So this, again, this is one just quick base coat of the E000. Doesn't have to be perfect. It's just giving us the beginning of the skin tones. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up that BB20, that's Scary BB20 for Minnie, and I'm going to be using it where I would normally use the E04. So it's going to be casting that shadow on the side of her face, under her hairline up here, okay, on her ears a little bit. We're going to be under her chin and her little collarbone here, under her arm, and right up along her body. Okay, I hope you can see that. Okay, and then we have the under her bra here and up against the side of her body here. And we're going to give her just a little bit under her panties here. And then also we're going to pull it on the side here and pretend that the lighting is coming from the side here. So I'm actually going to pull this just a little bit more and make it a little darker on this side. Okay, so that's the first layer, BV20, one of my favorites. And then the next color I'm going to pick up is the E11. And that E11 is going to go over all those areas where we put down the BV20. Okay, so we're going to pull that right over and extend it just slightly more than where the BV20 was. And we're going to blend again, pull the color towards the middle of the face, making the center of the face the highlighted area. Okay. Again, we're going to go over all where we place the BV20, right under her chin, her little collarbone, under her arm, on the side of her belly, under the arm on this side, just pulling that color a little bit more. All right, so that is the E11. The next color is the E21. E21 is pulling the E11 towards the middle of the face. I am going slightly over that E11. And I probably should have filled this marker up before starting because it is running a little low. I'll go over just a little bit here. we're going to pull all the areas where we laid down the E11, and we're pulling it with the E21. Next color is the E00. Okay, pulling it towards the center of the face. The ears. Just pulling those colors. Now on the next layer that we're going to create, so this isn't my lightest color yet, we have one more color, but the next layer we're going to create, we are not going to go back and use the BV20. We're just going to use the brown tones or the skin tones, and we're not going to be adding any more shadows with the BV20. That was just the first layer. We've established where the dark tones are. And now it's building color. Okay, so we're going to go back to the first layer. First layer is going to be, or to follow up from the first layer, it was the BV20, which we're not going to add, but we're going to go over. We're going to start with our E11. As you can see, without adding the BV20, we already have that darkened area, and we don't need to go back and darken anymore. We're just adding the colors back in. All right. Then picking up the next color, which is the E21. E21 is going to pull the E11 towards the center. Now all these skin tones might look a little dark or a little off for the time being because they still need all the color that is built around them. The hair, it still needs the clothing. So don't get discouraged, or don't look at your coloring and think that it's not looking right just yet. And it isn't, because it still needs all the rest of the colors to fall into place to make it look completed. Okay, so this is the E21. Then the next color is the E00. And the reason I share that with you about feeling discouraged when we look at our coloring is because I was there, and I have been there still at one point, where I feel like it's just not working out, or it doesn't look, you know, as I imagined it would. And then I let it dry a little bit, or I just continue to add the colors, and it just seems to come together. And so don't give up. Just continue to practice, continue to layer, and in the end, even if in the end you're not completely satisfied, you can look back, take a step back, and look at your colorings and think, well, maybe my skin didn't come out perfect or just like I imagined, but my hair did come out really good. So that we always have to look at the positive in our coloring. I think that's very important. I know that I wish somebody would have said all these things to me, and from what the people that I admire and I follow, I love to watch everybody color. I love to learn and pick up things that might work for me and develop my own style. And everyone has something to teach us, and it's just that it's practice, 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 developing your own style, picking up things from those that you admire, those that you follow, and just choosing what works best for you. Okay, and just keep trying every single time. Okay, so now I'm finished off with my color. Again, this seems a little dark on the edges, but once I add the hair color, you'll see how it'll all come together. I really love this skin tone. I love that BV20, how it adds the darkened area without having to use the E04 if you don't have that. I think this is actually a little, looks a little lighter than the E04. That might scare some people away. I'm going to move on and let this one dry up and go to my next color. Okay. The next skin color that I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the first set of colors that we used, and we're going to make this just a little darker than the first one. This is also going to be the first 5 colors that we used. Okay, and then we're going to be using the E13 in there as well, just to add just a little bit more of a kick and make it just a little darker skin. Okay, I'm going to start off again with my base, lightest color, E00, 000, excuse me. Adding a base to this color. And again, I feel like maybe I should have filled up my markers just a little bit more. You can tell because they become a little streaky. And when they're nice and full, they lay this beautiful color, solid color. So it looks like I might need to fill up this marker. Just seems like I'm filling them up every day. Okay, so the next color I'm going to use is I'm going to pull that really dark E04. Again, I can't stress enough how this color scares a lot of people because it is very dark, but just add a little bit at a time, and once you gain control over this and you're comfortable, you can add more and darken those areas. I know for me it was very scary. It was very, at first it seemed a little difficult to achieve the look I wanted because it was such a dark color, but keep working at it, keep adding layers to it, keep practicing, and I promise you'll get there. Okay. So now, usually I go to my E11, but I'm going to use the E13 because I want to darken him up just a little bit. Not too much, just a little bit. So we're going to pull the E04 with the E13 first. And I'll show you a side-by-side to the first one that we did, that we are using the same colors but we're adding this E13 in there, and I'll show you how it just darkens it just a tad and helps us achieve another skin tone. And that's the beauty of these, is that you can research on Pinterest, you can research on the internet, you can watch colorists and find the skin tones that you like and the ones that they use, and start changing up your colors, and you'll achieve new ones, maybe your own favorite ones that work best for you. Okay, so what I'm doing here is the E11. And remember, this E11 was the one that usually went after the E04 on the other one. But this time we added the E13 after the E04. Now the E11. Now the E21. And I will say that the Grading Farm was the very first company that I practiced and learned to work on my hair and my skin. They are perfect images to practice and to work because of the wide open spaces for the skin and the hair. And sometimes, like I posted before, I actually printed them out a little too large, but that's okay. It's a wonderful opportunity to practice your hair, to practice your skin. These wonderful open spaces gives you the opportunity to practice, add more colors to the combinations. So I'm applying the E00 now, pulling that E21 towards the middle. And now with this E00 going towards the center of his face. And so that's the great thing about these wonderful stamps. They're so much fun. They're so easy to work with, and just these open spaces are just perfect for someone who's just starting off. I can't recommend it enough. This is exactly where you want to start. So now I'm using the E000, and I am laying that last color to my combination, and I'm going to start all over again. And then the next, the layer all over again, which is the starting off with the E04. And this will be my last little guy. I actually had one more, but I was going to use the same color combination as my darkest skin on the next one. I will, it's the same, but what I wanted to teach or show how to make a different hairstyle or type of hair on a stamp, and you don't have to stick to what the artist originally did. And kind of just how to modify it a little bit to what your needs may be. And so I'm going to go ahead and color her off camera, but I will bring her in for adding an extra set of hair combination, or for the hair tutorial. Okay, so I applied the E04. Now we're going to apply the darkest color, the E13. So darkest color after the E04. And again, this time remember my second layer is always a quick brush stroke. It's not layering. It's not leaving the color on there too long. Okay, and so this little guy, by adding that E13, we're giving this guy a little more of a tan than my first image. And again, I'll be showing you that as soon as I'm done with him. Now it's the E11. Brushing towards the center of the face, a light brush, quick brush over towards the center of the face. And just giving him more of a tan. And that's the beauty, is that you can add as much as you want, make it as dark as you want, or add as little as you want and make it as light as you want. Okay, now we have the E21, brushing lightly over this. He looks like he's been sun-kissed here. Okay, and then E00, quickly towards the center of the face. And my highlight gets a little smaller and smaller each time, but that's okay because we want that rich skin color. Okay, and then last is the E000, which is my last color of this combination. Goes in the middle, creates that highlight. Okay, and blends those colors nicely together. Over the arms, just a quick stroke, and then we're going to let that little guy dry just a little bit. And I'm going to bring all of them back so I can show you. The first two combinations here, as you can see, he's a little darker than she is. This is the very first one that we did with the E04, E000, E00, E04, E11, E21. Was this first one, and on this one it was the same combination, just adding another darker color, which is the E13. Okay, then we had this little guy right here, which is our darkest and richest tone, and then this gal right here, which is the one that we added with the using the BV20. Okay, and these are the ones that we will be coloring on the next video. And just a quick sneak peek of the next video. This is my idea for coloring these images. And I will be showing you the skin colors for these the same images that we just did. We're going to be doing the hair color, and then also which I didn't color was another one of these richer skins, darker skins, and I wanted to show you how this image right here is the same image, but we just change up the hair a little bit and we can turn it into whatever we want it to look like. So thank you so much for stopping by and watching this video. I hope it was helpful for you. I hope you've learned something, and please don't forget to stop by and visit the next video where I will be sharing how to color the or my favorite hair color combinations. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.